Okay, the purpose of this video is to show you how to input data into your list and make a scatter plot of that data. Okay. If you have a data set and you want to input it into your calculator, you're going to press this black stat button followed by option number 1, the edit option. Okay. If you happen to have any old data sets typed into your list, you will want to clear those out. Across the top of your calculator, there are 6 lists. You also see those features L1 through L6 underneath the buttons 1 through 6 on your calculator. I'm going to clear out this old set of data. To do that, the cursor needs to be moved up on top of L1. You're going to press this black clear button followed by the down arrow on your calculator. That will wipe the column clean. You will then go ahead and input the new data set into your calculator. Okay. Okay. Now, if I were going to make a scatter plot of this data set, I need both X and Y values. So I would be putting my X values into L1, and then I would move the cursor over into L2, and I would enter the Y values to those coordinates into L2, so that this is the point 1, 2, this is the point 2, 5, etc. Okay. To make a scatter plot, you'll need to come to this feature called stat plot. So you're going to press the second button followed by the Y equals button. There are several plots here, but you'll notice these are all turned off. You're going to select number 1 for plot 1. You'll want to press enter over top of the on feature so that you're turning it on. There are 6 types of plots. You want to choose the first type that looks like a scatter plot here. So you're going to hit the enter button or the down arrow to move down here and press enter on top of the scatter plot. Okay, you then need to confirm that you have typed the X coordinates of your points into L1 and the Y coordinates into L2. If you needed to change those, let's say that I had my X coordinates in L2 and my Y coordinates in L3, you could change that by pressing the second key and then the number 2 and the second key and the number 3. Okay. But I had put my X's in L1 and my Y's in L2, so I want to leave those like that. Okay, now we have the scatter plot turned on. Before we could see the graph though, we need to adjust our window. I'm going to just go back quickly to the list where I put the data in. So I'm going to press the stat key and edit. And I'm going to make a note here that the smallest X value that I entered into L1 was a 1. And the largest X value I entered was a 22. So when I go into the window, if my smallest X value is a 1, I might want to go a little bit smaller than that so my point isn't cut off on the edge of my screen. The largest X value we said was a 22, so I might want to set my X max a little bit bigger than 22. I'll go 24. The next feature is X scale. This stands for what do you want each tick mark along the X-axis to count by? Since I'm going from 0 to 24, I might want to count by, I'm going to count by 2s. Okay, now to set the Y part of the window, I'm going to go back into Stat and Edit, and I'm going to look at my Y values and make note that the lowest Y value is a 1 and the highest Y value is a 16. So when I go into the window, if my lowest Y value is a 1, I might want my Y min to start at 0. And if my highest Y value was a 16, I might choose the Y max to be an 18. I again am going to choose a scale of 2. Okay, before I press graph to see the scatter plot, the last thing you want to check is go into Y equals and make sure there are no old equations typed anywhere in here that you would inadvertently see some line being graphed through your scatter plot that has nothing to do with the scatter plot. Okay, now press graph, and here we can see all of the points that we just entered in L1 and L2 here graphed as a scatter plot nicely.